Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Pat?
Okay. Let me start by saying good morning to our MEEC members, and thank you for joining us this morning. Please join me in welcoming Data Networks and VMware. Your host this morning is Brad Kaplan. Brad is from Data Networks and the Director of Marketing. And your presenter will be Jim Lawrence from VMware. He's an End User Computing Specialist, as well as Alex Queller, VMware Enterprise Account Executive. Your topic this morning will be VMware End User Computing Solutions for K12 Online Testing. I see Barbara Wilder has logged on from Data Networks. Good morning, Barbara. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Brad.
All right, terrific. Thanks, Pat, and welcome, everyone. In a moment, I'll turn it over to Jim, but just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. The session is being recorded, so archived copies will be available at the conclusion. Watch for an email from us with a link to the recorded session. And also, please use the Q&A feature of your WebEx viewer to ask questions. We'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation and also send a Q&A out to everyone as a follow-up to the presentation, as well as some additional information. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jim.
Thank you very much, Brad. I appreciate everybody's time. And Pat, thank you for the introduction. That was very kind. What we're going to try and do today is accomplish in a short period of time some of the hot spots or buttons, initiatives that you guys are trying to tackle. One-to-one and device diversity is something we're going to cover quickly and move into the VMware K12 solutions. Once you get a better handle of maybe solutions that you guys are trying to tackle or solve or already solving, maybe a different way to look at that, the online testing challenges and solutions will be followed by a case study review. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So when you take a look at device diversity, K-12 organizations as well as higher ed are probably the best example of a bring your own or a consumerization of information technology. The one-to-one initiatives that you hear out there, Miami-Dade Schools has a very aggressive one. I know that Baltimore County here locally is also looking at that. At the end of the day, it's how do we leverage technology and make it available to folks that need it in a cost-effective way, because the way we've traditionally delivered technologies is probably costing a little more than it should be. So either that being a one-to-one program, that is where a device is provided by the K-12 organization, or a bring your own device. At the end of the day, the students need to have that ubiquitous and consistent user experience for their coursework. So when we take a look at one-to-one computing for K-12 districts, again, I just spoke about Miami-Dade, you got Madison Schools, Houston launches, Baltimore County. The challenge is, we talked about the goals a moment ago, it's delivering that experience and the applications that need to be delivered for the particular student in middle school, in elementary school, or in high school. The capital costs are mind-numbing for what we're seeing out there. It costs a lot of money, but the ongoing cost as well is something that folks are trying to figure out how to take control of. So selecting the right device or devices, the management of those devices, and what's really important is the future-proofing, meaning today there might be an HP Ultrabook, there might be a MacBook Air that is the preferred device and something that is a part of a bid for high school students. It could be a Chromebook. With VMware, we are what we call the Swiss Army knife for Switzerland. We don't care what technology you have. We're in a position to deliver a unique experience to any of those platforms today, as well as what you might decide in the future. And I think that's really important for us to understand. So if you take a look and walk down memory lane here, the Apple Macintosh in '84, and then of course we looked at the Windows 3.0 PC, Windows for Workgroups. Windows 95, I still remember my Windows 95 machine that I paid $2,000 for, and it had a ridiculous amount of memory in it, small amount that is. iMac started to come out in '98, and then the iPad, of course, revolutionized and changed the delivery of applications with the concept of an app store. And you've seen the Chromebooks that are very similar to the netbooks in price point, but offer some pretty significant management opportunities. And then what's next? We've got the wearable wear, we've got machines, we're calling them, So cars are actually having internet access and the ability to access applications. As long as the eyes stay on the road, I think we'll be in good shape. So the pace of innovation is accelerating, and with that, does one size fit all for K-12 students? We enlisted some researchers and analysts to take a look at what was being used, and this is in the state of Washington. This might be similar to what you guys are looking at, but between kindergarten and second grade, and we all have had young children in elementary school. My kids are in middle school and high school at the moment, but I remember them growing up in this computing era where, you know, their little fingers, they'd make a little more mistakes. So things that are kind of touch-enabled seem to resonate there. So iPad mini, Kindle Fire, 3rd to 5th grade, just learning how to type. Some of them are typing even earlier these days, which is amazing. Chromebooks seem to be, again, if you're using something like Google Apps for education, it's a little stickier with the Chromebooks because they're able to use the Google Drive and other technologies. 6th to 8th grade, iPad, Microsoft Surface. We're seeing some Microsoft Surfaces that are being deployed actually in LA Unified, and they started out, of course, with iPads. We're seeing some of that as well down in Miami-Dade public schools. And then for high school, you know, MacBooks or Windows Ultrabooks, because when you're in high school, you tend to be more of a creator of content versus a consumer of content, and that's why we're seeing that trend. So what we try to do at VMware is we're going to deliver what's called a virtual desktop or published applications to any device. We're going to make sure that that's secure because that's still important to everybody that's involved. And I attended a session last year that the Digital Education with eRepublic had, where I believe it was Howard County Public Schools as well as Prince George's had the information technology folks represented on a panel. We also had some folks that were involved with instruction regarding content. And it was an amazing story where in middle school they had a bunch of iPad pilots going on, yet the courseware, it was decided, needed Adobe Flash. And if you haven't realized it already, Apple and Adobe don't see eye to eye, and Flash is not supported. So we can allow those applications, again, future-proofing applications as well as technology, to be used. You can leverage existing computers. So in K-12, when you buy these assets, you want to make sure you ride them as long as you can. The beauty of our solution is they will be as performant as the day you bought them, assuming that you can either leverage an infrastructure that is offered in the cloud or something that you build on-premise. Ensuring compliance with school policies, very important for everyone involved, especially superintendents. Support for legacy applications with different browser versions. We can do this and allow you to deliver it to succinct student base, and educator base, et cetera. Making sure that you know, optional hardware for 3D graphics. If you need to do multimedia in the classroom with personalized learning, we can also accommodate that and I think do a marvelous job when it comes to delivering a pleasurable experience. So this is an example of a smartphone versus a tablet, and again, that tablet could be a Galaxy Tab, a Google Nexus, iPad mini, iPad Retina, but you're going to get an application that is right-sized to take advantage of the real estate. And then you might have a Mac desktop down the bottom there that you need to deliver an application that needs Internet Explorer 6 on it that your IT organization is not supporting anymore, but again, we can deliver it to that specific user community. So these are a few solutions, and I thought I would list this here. For any of you that are on the phone, if you want to ask a question toward the end, I would like to know how many of you have looked at implementing and purchasing Chromebooks. And again, we're seeing Chromebooks be pretty powerful, especially if you're using Google Apps for education. So we had the last check. Now this is, you know, Q4 2012. I would like to think this number is even higher today. We're almost approaching Q4 2014. But when you take a look at the Chromebooks, we can actually provide access to Windows applications on a Chromebook. So if you needed to get to your TestNav 7.5 application from Pearson, we're in a position to be able to provide that. And this great work between Google and VMware was announced on February, I believe it was around 14th when we had VMworld out in San Francisco. So the Chromebook solution, we talked a little bit about the partnership in February of 2014. We actually have a desktop as a service solution, which I'll get into in a little bit, that allows you to plug into back-end storage and host to provide a desktop as a service like a utility, and that is certified on TestNav 7.5. So those Chromebooks that you have that you had purchased for online testing will be able to provide a secure online testing with TestNav 7.5 for you, either on-premise or with our desktop as a service solution. Again, students can use browser-based Chromebook applications, Windows applications, your choice, either the cloud or the public cloud. And then the VMware Windows on mobile solution, anytime, anywhere access to coursework, location-aware printing. So if indeed you're walking around campus and you needed to locate a printer, we've got a great technology called ThinPrint, and that allows you to quickly recognize where the closest printer is and then set a print job up for that on a variety of different devices, assuming you're using our virtual desktop technology. Copy and pasting between virtual desktops and the device, these are some things you can look forward to. Application compatibility, again, if you've got certain older applications that you want to be able to control access to, you can virtualize that application with the VMware platform and support those legacy applications. Also, the ability to not only have a classroom set up for testing for weeks, or you might have a certain portion of the day, to flip that back to a classroom is very easy to do. I would say it's trivial if indeed you've got it set up properly. So we've seen a lot of independent school districts in Texas that have been doing this for 4+ years, and they're able to quickly flip that classroom from an online testing and assessment paradigm to business as usual, labs for children, personalized learning, multimedia, etc. And then again, these 3D applications are also something that we're doing a great job with. So when you have multimedia in the classroom, we can definitely provide that to you. So I talked about desktop as a service before, and this is, again, plugging into a utility where by school district or by within the school district having what they call a multi-tenancy solution. So if you had folks in that were high school, and I'm sure within a K12 district you have some type of a directory service in place, so you would be able to separate logically a desktop environment for folks in high school or middle school for online testings, assessments, coursework, etc., and plug into that and run that on any device. We have clients for a iPad. We have clients for Mac OS X, for a Linux desktop. We have clients for a Windows 7 or an 8.1 environment, Android, and of course Chromebook with our HTML5. Now you can again repurpose some of these PCs that you have in your labs. You can leverage the Chromebooks that you've just purchased or whatever other device and put these to use during online testing assessments, or provide these during the school year for that personalized learning or that one-to-one we talked about earlier. So the hybrid model on the bottom talks about, maybe you want to have an on-premise for some, but if you want to leverage Network Maryland, we can do that, and we're working on some solutions that are going to most likely employ a hybrid model. Listed on the bottom are various providers, service providers that leverage this VMware Desktop as a Service architecture. You see VMware, there's a VMware hosted cloud similar to the Google apps for education or government, or Microsoft's Office 365, where they've got their multi-tenant solution. IBM, we have many, many service providers out there that are doing this. Again, a multimedia in the classroom, support for complex 3D applications. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but if indeed we know that you have that need, we can make sure that we're optimizing the experience. And let's go ahead and talk about the Common Core online assessments. And I know that in Maryland, working together with MD-REN, MEEC, as well as with the Maryland State Department of Education, that we have a task ahead of us, getting ready and prepared for online testing and assessment, leveraging the PARCC solution with Pearson's TestNav 7.5. So there's Common Core state standards. I'm sure you're familiar with this, and again, these slides will be available to you. 87% of K12 students in the U.S. live in states that have adopted this, and I know Maryland, of course, is one of them. So let's talk about some of the, the reason I put this in is we also might have some folks from North Carolina that might have joined, because our partner Data Networks also has some folks down there. So North Carolina is a smarter balance, where, of course, Maryland is a PARCC/Pearson state. We work with both solutions. And then, just to give you kind of an overview, we've been working with Pearson for quite some time. We have, leveraging the Pearson Access Online Assessment Management System. TestNav is certified. You actually see there Horizon View 5.0.1 and 5.3. Those are the two versions of our virtual desktop software and platform that are certified. We're also, as soon as the 6th version ships on June the 10th, you'll see version 6 that will be certified either in the cloud or on-premise. And again, we work with both 7.5 and 8.0. So this is, again, just an example of the great partnership we have with Pearson as well as the state of Maryland. So some of the challenges, and I'm sure that you folks are going to agree with many of these. Rolling out online testing applications is rather laborious. Business as usual probably won't get it done. Again, with our Smarter Balance friends, which would be West Virginia and, say, North Carolina, they have a secure browser on each endpoint, and that's one more thing you have to worry about. Of course, we're certified, and we can make that pretty painless. Uptime. So high-stake tests must be administered continuously to ensure integrity of results. We need to have a consistent experience on a variety of devices because that's the world that you folks are living in K-12. Locking down the machines and viruses. Testing station availability. Limited number of testing stations in labs at schools. I, again, would like to hear from you, and maybe during the Q&A, how many of you feel like you have enough devices to handle that secure testing and online workload? If you've got enough, I want to shake your hand. In most cases, I'm not hearing that. Time constraints. Hundreds, if not thousands, of students are expected to take tests in a short testing window. I've heard that window being 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. I've heard some school districts or LEAs that are looking at doing it along the year, maybe in November, where traditionally you're doing it March through April or May. So again, you've got the flexibility to do that, but preparing computers for testing and reconfiguring, if you're doing it today manually with something like Deep Freeze, which is a technology solution, or Ghost, you're not going to get there. I think we really have the ability to make it a lot more agile, flexible, and easy for you to do. So what we try to do is, again, just like you saw with the challenges, we're doing this today. We've been doing it across K-12 in the U.S. Down in Texas, they've been doing it for a good 4 or 5 years, and if you ever want to talk to them and understand how they did it, you'll see a case study in a little bit. We can lock down those thinner zero clients. These are machines that either have a Windows embedded OS, they have 4 to 6 USB ports. Some of them either a thin or a zero client. Zero client has no moving parts. They can either be a part of a monitor, or you can repurpose your monitors and plug these right in. These are very inexpensive, and the beauty of them is the manageability is minimal. Centralized antivirus. You can go ahead and make sure that these endpoints are secure from one place. Testing station availability. A variety of endpoints to choose from. So if you have old PCs, or maybe you look at inviting within some of your school districts some technology from home, we can accommodate that. Time constraints. These can be converted to general purpose in minutes, literally in minutes, and you'll see a case study shortly. So I'm going to roll through this pretty fast because I don't want to kind of confuse you with a bunch of technology slides which give you the blue eyes, one blue this way, one blue that way. Offline, we can go ahead and compose, recompose. We can go ahead and lock this down into a number of virtual machines. In some cases, depending upon the workload, especially a browser-based application like TestNav, you might be able to get 150 to 200 of these machines or endpoints on a blade, assuming we've got the right storage to accommodate that. So no more than 1,000 VMs per linked clone pool. That's pretty impressive. No more than 60 virtual machines per line on the storage side. But if you leverage disposable disk for slow growth, and again, rolling this out, which is at the end of the day what you all are interested in, you can refresh a link clone as little as half the time it takes to delete and recreate the clone. So we've really worked on performance with Pearson to ensure that the TestNav 7.5 solution is going to be work like a charm. So again, uptime and high availability. You want to get through tests and not have any headaches. We've got some resiliency built in, and we support some of the caching options that TestNav 7.5 provides. Again, ensure test integrity. You've got your centralized virtual desktops. You've got your Microsoft Active Directory that we plug right in. So again, within a K-12 organization, you're going to have it most likely per organizational unit. We can plug right in there and adopt that. We're not recreating the wheel. And again, we've got our PC over IP view client, as you see in the beginning, with various security connections. Testing station availability, a variety to choose from. So for testing stations, I talked about the 0 clients. Right next to that, that WISE would be, again, a Windows embedded. But that's thin clients, tablets, laptops. Time constraints, provision desktops in minutes. Automate provisioning from templates, so on-demand provisioning, rapidly updating images from testing. At the end of the day, this is going to make, from a security perspective and a compliance perspective, we are certified, we work very close, and I think we help a K-12 organization when it comes with that technological obsolescence or future-proofing, again, the no screen captures, printing, or saving the display screen. Everything that you need to do regarding compliance of online testing assessments, we're certified for. So ease of management, ease of deployment. Just add secure browser and recompose to deploy multiple endpoints. Secure online tests are managed like any other application. So reducing that downtime, increasing availability is very important. I talk a few moments about case studies. So Aledo has been around quite some time working with us. And if you look there, so 4,600 students with 280 teachers and 145 administrative staff. This, by the way, is probably about 4 years old. And I would like to think the way Texas is growing, that the student base, but we have some larger independent school districts with 160,000 students. And with 160,000 students, there are a lot of teachers and admin staff. So what they were able to do is, with testing season, they don't have as much stress as they used to have. They used to have a team of end-user support or desktop support folks that were running around like chickens with their head cut off to go ahead and get these endpoints prepared. And then what happens then afterward, they got to go back out. And if it's a multi-week or day test where maybe the students are taking tests for half the day and they're back in the classroom, flipping that is a piece of cake. And this is another example, again, on the AIR or the Smarter Balance platform. It's a different application, but I think it's the same. VMware Horizon View, we didn't experience any technical issues. Audio, sound, quality, videos, mouse movements. We have a very intelligent architecture and an elegant solution to allow you to experience these applications, online assessments, tests, as if you were on a PC. It really does simulate that, and we think it's a very intelligent and efficient way to do that. So we saw no performance issues whatsoever in our environment. And again, there are 2 videos you can see, and there are plenty more I can send you too. Here's another Conneaut school district. So provides a tablet to each of the 700+ high school students, uses virtual machines to turn the tablets into high-functioning computing devices. Virtualization turn each tablet into a secure Windows 7 device, and by the way, we also support Windows 8.1 with 100 megabytes of storage capacity. So in this case here, if you are buying tablets, we can work with any tablet. We have a client that would be downloaded from the App Store, from Google Play, from the Windows Marketplace. And with that client, once that client is installed, you're going to get an optimized experience like I showed you a few slides earlier on any device. So if you needed some more endpoints and you had some preferred ones, you'd be surprised what might be lurking in the homes of your students or even some of your teachers. So we could put those to good use if you needed more endpoints during your online assessment and testing. When you talk about the Google Chromebooks, we again have that partnership we talked about earlier in February that was announced of 2014, where we use a web or an HTML5, if I can use that term, approach to allow you with a browser to reach your Windows, TestNav 7.5 application. So any of the Java incompatibilities that you have with a Chrome OS today in TestNav 7.5, you wouldn't have when you use the VMware View tested solution, again, delivered in the cloud as desktop as a service or on-premise. So, I'm going to be summarizing this and want to definitely open this up to questions. Schools around the world recognize that students need access to digital content both at school and outside of school. What's interesting about the technology or the solution is that if indeed you wanted to allow students, and we're seeing this in high school, not as much in middle school, but definitely in higher education when it comes to college, university, or even technical community college, that the concept of a physical lab, with all these ubiquitous device internet access, people want to be able to access applications at their own time. Maybe you've got some students in high school that are working on a project. They don't have to get in the car and go back down to the lab. So remote access of these applications is done with a virtual private network-like experience. So you don't have the overhead, and a lot of teleworking. I had quite a few students. I can tell you my 2 children, after this crazy winter we had, they didn't have school, but they still had homework. They still had work to do. So again, getting access to those school resources, assuming you have power to run the school, and we haven't had a crazy snowstorm or an ice storm, you know, this is just another option and a benefit from adopting a technology like this. So it's not just for online testing and assessment, it's for kind of the business as usual requirements and demands of academic instruction. Programs such as one-on-one initiatives ensure that students have access at any time to their coursework, but device and user experience support can be challenging. We know that, and we think with one-on-one initiatives, you know, I've talked to many superintendents, if we invite some technology from home, because we are far more productive in our personal lives than we are in our professional ones in most cases, I would say that the technology that exists at home might be better than anything that you could issue and try and write out for 4 years, number one. Number two, if they're productive on that machine and comfortable, we've got some great solutions from a recent acquisition, AirWatch, called Teacher Tools, that allows a teacher to be able to control and manage those devices as needed, to turn them off if the students aren't indeed listening, and to ensure that they're getting access to the applications consistently on any device. So this can occur with this personalized learning concept or a one-to-one initiative. If you want to invite the technology from home into the school, you can do that, and you're not going to be compromising security. And those students can use that from 7 a.m. till 3 or 8:30 till 4, however they go to school. And then with policies, we turn those policies off. They could go back to their personal life with Snapchat and Instagram or whatever else they're using, and you never have a commingling of any of these applications. So we're real excited about what we can do in the one-on-one initiative as well, allowing you guys to make the best of this sea of a variety of different disparate devices in the heterogeneous endpoint situation that you live in. And lastly here, the VMware Device Diversity Solution enables schools to offer students the same user experience no matter what device is being used. That is so important when you look at the online testing and assessment requirements and the large number of tests that need to occur in a short period of time. So we feel pretty good about that. I also wanted to, again, close this on a summary. Common Core standards were developed in 2010. What we're trying to do, regardless of the testing platform that exists today or in the future, is to prepare our sons and daughters as students for the workplace and the marketplace and the economy of the future, right, to compete better in the world. So compliance with this is driven by, again, PARCC and Smarter Balance. You guys know all about the 2014-2015 school year deadline, and we're all in the middle of that right now. So some of the challenges with complying with that include, again, rolling out the online testing applications. We feel that with the right infrastructure in the back end that is either rented / plugged in from a utility perspective, or ones that are set up in your environment, that uptime, security concerns, testing station availability, and time constraints are solved. We've been doing this, been there, done that. If you're from Missouri and you want us to show you, we'd be more than happy to do that. And VMware Horizon View addresses these challenges and offers a proven and validated solution for delivering online testing. We have a great track record with Pearson, and we'll continue to be there and help them along the way. So about that, if there are questions, and Bruce, Brad, I'll hand this over to you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Terrific. A good overview. We've opened up the Q&A form for questions. If anyone has a question, go ahead and send it via the Q&A form, or you can send me a chat. I don't have any questions on this end. Jim, any on your end at this point?
No, well, I haven't seen any questions, but if we want to open it up, and somebody wanted to ask a question, we'd be more than happy to take time to do that.
We'll wait and see if anybody sends one via the Q&A. We have everyone on mute there's so many people.
Yeah, and Brad, if you wanted to, you know, again, poll in the audience, the question about Chromebooks or not having enough devices for online testing assessments is reality. How many of those school districts that have joined today share that same concern?
Sure. Okay, I did get one question about the presentation. How soon will you be emailing this presentation out? I had to step away from the meeting. We will pull this together and send it out before the end of the day today. We'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah, that's an easy question to answer there.
Right? Okay. Well, and I'll do this. If you advance to the next slide, Jim. One more.
Okay.
We should have contacts.
Yes.
All right, so there are all the contacts for data networks and for VMware. And if anyone has questions after reviewing the recorded presentation or after giving this some thought, please send them out to me directly or to Jim, and we will make sure that those are answered for you. Okay? Pat, did you want to close up with anything?
No, the only thing I did want to say, as I did before, thank you, MEEC members, for attending.